Welcome to the Planning Board meeting, Thursday, November 6, 2025. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing the annual scheduled meetings to the Star Ledger Union County local source, The Leader, formerly known as Union County Hawk, and Tappan to Clark by posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board in Town Hall reserved for such announcements, and by the proper filing of said notice with the Township Clerk. Formal action may be taken at this meeting. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must always be maintained. We'll do roll call. Mayor Albanese?
Here.
Mr. Ulrich?
Here.
Councilman Minetti?
Here.
Mr. Koch? Mr. Triola?
Here.
Mr. Altman? Mr. Steinberg?
Here.
Mr. Cribb? Mr. Grankowski?
Here.
Mr. Gerstner?
Here.
Mr. Cecil?
Here.
Mr. Cruz? Here. Mr. O'Connor?
Here.
Mr. Ricky?
Here.
And Mr. Troutman.
Here.
Okay, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay, start off with the minutes. Everyone had a chance to read the minutes from last month's meeting? Any questions or comments? No? Okay, can I get a motion to approve minutes from October 2nd, 2025?
Second.
Motion and then a second?
Oh, I thought I heard someone down there say
Okay,
motion.
Lance, second, good.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Eric, good, thank you. Correspondence, all correspondence are available at Town Hall for anyone who wants to see it. Can I have a motion to,
Before you that, just call the yeas and nays on the minutes, please.
Oh, sorry. All ayes?
Aye.
And any nays? Any abstain? Okay.
okay. Correspondence, all correspondence are available at Town Hall for anyone who wants to see them. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the correspondence?
A motion.
And a second?
Second.
Very good. All right, we have a subdivision.
All in
Oops,
favor? All in favor?
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it.
Subdivision site plan application. Primavera Parkview LLC, 7 Acken Drive, Block 21, Lot 17. Before we start, just make sure anyone coming up, please speak clearly into the microphone so we can have it recorded. Anyone giving a testimony is going to be asked to state their name, spell it, and they will be sworn in by Mr. Cruz. Please begin.
Mr. Chair, if I may, before we start, just to remind the board, this is a continuation of the September 4, 2025 application for minor subdivision of Primavera Parkview for 7 Ackman Drive, Lot 17, Block 21. On September 4, 2025, I advised the board that the notice of this application for that meeting was proper and that the board had jurisdiction to hear the application. However, the applicant was unable to complete its presentation, and the hearing was continued until tonight, November 6, 2025, without further notice. At the September 4, 2025 board hearing, I made an announcement that the hearing would be carried to tonight, November 6, 2025, without further notice. Accordingly, the board continues to have jurisdiction to hear this application. However, since September 4, 2024, the board has new members and some members who were not present on September 4, 2025, who did not hear the application. Those members may participate in this continuation hearing upon certification that the member heard or listened to the tape of that meeting. It is my understanding that all of the members sitting tonight, all the planning board members sitting tonight were either present on September 4th or heard the tape and have filed the necessary certifications with the clerk and are all eligible to participate. With that background, Mr. Chair, the application can proceed forward.
Gary Goodman on behalf of Primavera Parkview LLC, the applicant. The applicant is in contract to purchase 7 Ocken Drive. We're here tonight for a minor subdivision. As council has said, this is a continuation from September 4th. At that time, the main issue had come up was the fact that the subdivision plan that had been filed had encroached upon an easement that was held by the neighbor at 9 Ocken Drive. Since then, my client, who will testify, has met with the neighbor, and they have put together an agreement in writing that is satisfactory to both parties. In addition, and we have been updated, I just think today, by an engineering report, there are issues with regard to landscaping and some clarifications as to drainage. And we have an engineer who will testify as to that issue. And finally, we have a planner, Tony Gallerano, who will be answering some questions that were brought up at the prior meeting. Without further ado, I'd like to call our first witness, Joe Fonseca. Well, one of us, let's see. I think you can speak into that, and I can speak into this one.
Good evening.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
I,
state your name.
Joseph Fonseca,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will tell the truth
I will tell the truth
and nothing but the truth
and nothing but the truth
in this proceeding,
at this proceeding.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. State your name and spell it, please.
Joseph Fonseca, F as in Frank, O-N-S-E-C-A.
Mr. Fonseca, you're principal of Primavera Parkview LLC,
Yes, I am.
and you're in contract to purchase the property known as 7 Acken Drive.
Yes, we are.
Said property is approximately 35,766 square foot, and you are proposing to subdivide it into 2 residential building lots,
Correct.
or 1-family homes.
Yes.
At last meeting, September 4th, there was an issue that arose with regard to the subdivision encroaching upon the existing easement. How have you addressed that issue?
I made an appointment with Mr. and Mrs. Bornstein. We met, I believe, 2 or 3 times. I met twice, and my partner, who's my brother, met them also once. I brought the site map, explained it to them. I did a quick little mark out on the driveway, roughly where the easement ends. Explained everything to them, and I believe everybody is in agreement.
And so is it your understanding that the revision to the subdivision does not encroach in any way on the existing easement that your neighbor has on the property?
No, we're just going to be cutting the driveway at the furthest point of the
Once
easement.
again, the area that is the easement is not being touched, correct?
It's not, correct.
Okay, and the easement that's been filed talks about maintenance. Has the maintenance issue been mutually agreed upon with the Bornsteins?
I believe so. We did speak about it, and
Is it not part of the agreement that you and they executed?
there is some verbiage on the agreement regarding that, yes.
I don't have any further questions, Mr. Fonseca.
I have a question with respect to that agreement. Paragraph 4 says, "You have expressed," meaning your neighbor, "and confirmed your agreement to maintain the driveway within the easement." Now, the driveway is on the easement on both properties. Who is going to maintain the portion of the driveway on your property?
from my understanding, Mr. and Mrs. Bronstein are going to maintain the driveway.
They're undertaking the responsibility to maintain the entire driveway from shoulder to shoulder or from edge to edge.
From their, the existing driveway that's there, that we're not going to touch except for the back part that we're removing, yes, that's from my understanding, yes, that's what we agreed to.
Mr. Fonseca, isn't it the case that the driveway now is going to be their exclusive use?
Yes.
Isn't it that there was a recommendation that you flip the driveway over, and the driveway is going to be totally on your property, servicing your new house that you propose to build, whereas this existing driveway is going to serve your neighbor, the one who has the easement on the property?
Correct.
How will that be policed? Is there going to be a deed restriction prohibiting the owner of the new property from using the driveway that's on that property, the existing driveway?
Well, the driveway is, once we do the improvements, the portion that's from the outside of the back of the easement to the existing home that's there now is going to be completely removed, so they won't have access to the new house that's built because the driveway is on the opposite side for the new house.
Okay, so as a practical matter, that portion of the easement on your property will be isolated from the remainder of the property. Thank you.
Is there any visuals of this, or
Well, we do have the,
the original? Okay.
Engineer's plan, you mean,
Yes.
to show it? I believe the engineer is in a position to do that when he's called.
Okay, that's fine.
They did submit a plan.
Okay. Okay.
Does the board have any?
Any questions from the board? No? Okay.
From the public?
Any questions from the public? If you have any questions, please state your name and your address. Step up. Seeing there's no questions from the public, guess we can move on.
thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and your address. Yep. Please keep your questions pertaining to the statement you just heard.
So my name is Chirag, and I live at address 167 Westfield Avenue, Clark, New Jersey.
How do you
And,
spell that, please? How do you spell your name?
Chirag, Chirag, and so my house is at like 167 Westfield Avenue. I just wanted to know, there is a construction happening on the right beside my property, and they sent me this notice. So I just want to know, like, due to that construction, is my property tax or anything gonna get affected or anything?
Does this involve Hawken Drive?
Yeah, this is for a different property.
Oh,
I believe that one's next.
they said like 7:30 p.m. maybe.
That's okay. This is, okay. Any other questions from the public? All right, seeing that there's no questions, we can move on.
Yeah, I'd like to call our next witness, Phil Daniele.
Oh,
Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Philip Daniele,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear,
I will tell the truth
tell the truth
and nothing but the truth
and nothing but the truth
in this proceeding.
in this proceeding.
Help me God.
So help me God.
Please state your name again and spell it.
My name is Philip Daniele, Daniele. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey and New York. I work for EKA Associates in Scotch Plains. And I've done testimony at many, I didn't do testimony here, but I've done in many municipalities, at planning board and zoning board meetings.
Education?
Went to College of Engineering, Rutgers.
Okay, motion to approve? Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Daniele, you've You've heard the question with regard to a visual on what has been proposed in terms of the change in the easement. Is it possible for you to show the change?
Yes, once I get to it. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, good. Zoom into this.
Do you work with your hand, or?
Can you do that? No. I'll use the mouse. Okay. Easement is right there on this side of the property.
Is there any encroachment upon that easement that the proposed?
Oh, the proposed, what they're going to do is they're going to, right on the line of the
Can you
easement.
identify the plan and what you're referring to
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
and whatever the next exhibit is?
What's this now? All right, the plan is the grading plan. It's the grading plan, shows the easement and the property line. They're going to maintain the easement right along the property line, and then take away any pavement that goes up. So really, when the driveway is completed, it's going to be a full driveway, is just for this property, no access to this.
And all the blacktop that's within the easement is not being touched, correct?
No, it's going to stay the same. Matter of fact, they're going to put some granite over here, some blocks here, so the driveway stops and goes across.
Okay.
And they'll have full access to the backing in and coming out.
Okay. Could you, there was a question with regard to the drainage that the engineer had asked, I think in the original engineering and the revised one, which we received today. Have you had an opportunity to look at that and respond?
Yes, I did. The main thing he wanted to know is that we had a 6-inch drainage line running on property 17.01, and it goes daylights into the acre drive. So he wanted to turn it into a 4-inch diameter pipe. There's no problem doing that.
And could you just go over the landscaping in terms of the comment made by the town engineer and what our response and what we're prepared to do?
Okay, I got to go to the landscaping plan. Here's the landscaping plan. We wanted to increase the trees along this side, I guess that's the western side.
Again, just identify the plan, and it will be the next number exhibit in the series,
It's,
correct?
yes, the landscaping plan. It's the third plan. They want to increase the number of trees along this side of the property. That's 17.02, and then they want to add more trees between the two properties, and they want to put another buffer on this side. So they're really going to have trees running there, trees running here, and trees running here, and decrease the distance between the trees. I think we had 10 feet, and then I think we had 10 feet, and then they want 5 feet.
Yeah, just
And the height is supposed to be 6 to 8 feet.
read the requirement. Applicant is proposing 7 green giant arborvitaes along the right side of lot 17.02. These are specified to be 1.5-inch caliper. There should be at least 14 of these shrubs, and they should be called out to be 6 foot to 8 foot planted height at a spacing of 5 feet. It says the proposed spacing of 10 is too wide to establish a privacy hedge. And it's your representation that the applicant is prepared to do all that, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
This thing there too. Put that.
3.3, the applicant shall document sufficient landscape buffering along adjacent neighboring property lines. It appears that additional screening should be added between lots 178.01 and
Oh, it's really 1701. Yeah.
It's, I guess, a typo, and 17.02, as well as along the left side of lot 17.01. And we are doing that as well, correct?
Yes.
All right, and there is under 3.5, there's a requirement applicant is required to replant 28 trees. The applicant is proposing to replant 9 trees. Based on this, the applicant is required to pay $4,750 into the Township Tree Replacement Fund. The analysis, okay, whatever. So we are representing that we are prepared to do that as well.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Yes, again. Okay. I think that's it on landscaping. Yes?
I believe so. I think there's enough trees.
Mr. Goodman, I think what you meant to tell us was that when the landscaping plan is revised, that the amount would be calculated based on the number of trees you put on the lots. If you were to switch from arborvitae to a tree species, you might be able to reduce that number. So you don't want to, you want to tell us that you'll recalculate it after you've revised the landscaping plan.
Okay. We calculate it after we revise the landscaping plan.
And that your calculation will be in conformance with the ordinance requirement.
Okay, and the calculation will be in conformance with the requirement.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Okay, I have no further questions.
I have one. On the landscaping plan, there are large X's in a circle. What does that mean?
These here? That means they're going to be removed. The trees are going to be removed. Then we're planting in the front. These trees here, these are the morning glory. And these were the trees that are in question, the ones along the border here. There's no trees here. They're going to put more trees here and going to put more trees in the middle. So there's really 3 rows of trees that are going to be on the property. And they're going to be high, 6 to 8 feet. So it's going to be a good buffer between the houses.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Daniele? So, seeing there's no questions, I'd like to ask anyone from the public that has any questions about the statements made from Mr. Daniele, please step up, state your name and address.
My name is Neil Anderson, A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N. I live at 3 Acken Drive. So part of the tree planting thing, is this the time to talk about stormwater runoff?
Yes.
Okay.
But not talk about it, ask questions.
There's questions here. So this current property is basically self-percolating, doesn't drive water to the street. Under Article 306-1 of the Clark Township Codes, Section 4, you state, or they state, Township of Clark also establishing the policy for addressing stormwater management development not meeting the criteria of a major development. Standards and design requirements not included herein may be found in publication New Jersey Stormwater Best Management Practices. This article shall be applicable to all sites and subdivisions for development that require either preliminary or final site plan subdivision review. You follow to New Jersey groundwater recharge. It states it applies to areas that is creating at least 0.25 acres of new or additional impervious surface, which this property has. So, by definition, you should have a site plan, do you?
There's a site, the grading plan covers that. Drainage is on it, right there. It's on the grading plan. The drainage basically flows along here, goes out to the street along the gutter. The drainage from the roof leaders go into a pipe that goes directly into the street and drains into the catch basin. And then on this house, we're going to collect the roof drainage and go directly into the catch basin. And so basically all the drainage, except for the roof drainage, gets directed overland flow into the street, into the gutter line. And the water goes in this direction, and water goes in this direction. So it's flowing properly. Oh.
So basically, you don't have a plan because the existing stormwater systems, which we all know, Ferry Road, Mildred Terrace, overflows when there's a heavy storm. The storm drains are right in front of this proposal. It overflows when we have a heavy storm drain. Now you're dumping all these new pipes. You've created an impervious area extended past a quarter of an acre. That's not a plan.
I guess based on what we have, this is the way it's going to flow. The drainage is going to work, and it'll flow properly. It's better than it is now. The existing system just flows right out, doesn't even get to the street. So it works properly.
I think you want to take a look at your drainage calculations on sheet 2. Your plan is showing total combined lot coverage of 9,197 square feet, which is less than a quarter acre.
Less than a quarter.
Your application does not meet the definition of a major development under NJDEP requirements. So you should explain that so that the
Oh, I'm sorry.
residents know.
That we're under the amount that is on for the state. If both properties were together, it'd be over. But since they're separate, we're under the amount.
And Clark's ordinance says that if you don't meet the requirements of a major, that you basically do what you can to the extent practical.
Yes.
And because of the typical clay soils in Clark, the claim that this lot is self-percolating is unlikely to be a feature. There's only an increase in impervious coverage of 2,807 square feet for the project over what's existing right now. And one of the homes is being directly connected into the catch basin.
Yes.
The other home is being routed through the curb to the gutter line. So all of the impervious coverage from this lot is being routed almost directly into the drainage system.
Correct.
Into the stormwater system in front of the house is what you're saying.
That's correct.
The additional driveway space and an additional house that's going on that lot is less than a quarter of an acre?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public have any questions pertaining to Mr. Dinelli's statements? No? Seeing there's no one else stepping forward?
I'd like to call Tony Gallerano. Does this thing stay here? Oh, you leave it there.
Please raise your right hand, state your name.
Anthony Gallerano.
I state your name.
I, Anthony Gallerano,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will tell the truth
to tell the truth,
and nothing but the truth
nothing but the truth,
in this proceeding.
in these proceedings.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Mr. Gallerano, you've been retained by the applicant here with regard to providing planning testimony.
Yes, I have.
Give your credentials to the board.
Sure. So I have a degree in civil engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, graduated in 1984. I've been licensed as a professional.
I move to accept.
Oh. I've been licensed as a professional engineer and professional planner.
I move to accept.
Second.
Okay.
I should have asked you to spell your name, and I did not. Could you spell your name, please?
Sure. Gallerano.
And first name?
Harbor Consultants.
No, your first name.
Oh, first I did firm name, Anthony.
Continue.
Mr. Gallerano, at our prior hearing on September 4th, questions arose with regard to the location in terms of front yard setback of these two lots. Could you comment on that?
Sure. So the position of the houses is really a function of the shape of the lots. The existing lot, as you know, is a pie-shaped lot. The two resulting lots are also pie-shaped. These lots are 100% conforming to the R150 zone requirements. Therefore, it's considered what we call an as-of-right application. No relief is being sought. Under your ordinance, the minimum front-back setback in the zone is 40 feet. However, the ordinance requires that the front yards be averaged, and that would be averaging all the lots within 150 feet on the same side of the subject property. In this case, that average front yard setback is 62.7 feet. So these the proposed dwellings have been set back to that 62.7 feet, again, meeting the requirements of the zone. Again, the orientation of the house is a function of the shape of the lot. There's really no other way to orientate these homes in order to meet the front yard setback and at the same time provide a reasonable building footprint and a reasonable backyard. The pie-shaped lot, unfortunately, the majority of the area is in the front yard, and it does somewhat limit the amount of space that's available in the backyard. So I believe this is the best, from a planning standpoint, it is the best orientation and location for the two proposed dwellings.
No further questions for Mr. Galleron.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Gallerano? Seeing there's no questions, anyone from the public have a question pertaining to Mr. Gallerano's statement? No? Seeing there's no one coming forward?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's the conclusion of our application.
We'd like to open it up for public comment pertaining to anything that was stated in the proceeding. Seeing that no one's coming forward. Mr. O'Connor, I don't know, did you have any additional statements, comments?
I think the only thing I would have expected from the applicant would have been to address the landscaping comment that the residents had last time, which was why the landscaping was included along the two lot lines to soften that view as you came around the corner. And the applicant heard that comment and made significant revisions to the plans in order to do that, and has further agreed to supplement that with additional landscaping tonight.
Okay. And then pertaining to the written agreement with the easement, I mean, is that suitable by your standards? Is that between them?
It is a private easement, but there have been certain representations made on the record that will be part of the resolution of approval, and the applicant would be expected to comply with those representations.
Any other comments, questions? No? Yep. Please step forward. State your name and address.
Nicholas Koval, 6 Acton Drive. Excuse me. 6 Acton Drive.
Spell your last name.
Koval. Good. All right. Thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you, neighbors. I just wanted to say, I'll keep my comments short. Like many of us here, we're not attorneys, engineers, developers, any of that. But what we are, like you guys, we're residents of Clark. And whether you grew up in Clark and stayed here, or you moved to Clark yesterday, you probably came to Clark for that neighborhood feel. And what we're here discussing here tonight, and what we discussed 2 months ago, and had to sit through that incoherent presentation, goes against everything that probably we want. Plain and simple. And you guys know what I mean. Everyone here knows what I mean. If we want to chop up Clark, that was especially the neighborhood that we're talking about, that most of us are from, it's going to look like Edison. And again, you know what I mean. And nobody wants that. And who benefits from any of this? A developer from 46 Richmond Ave in Cranford? One person, and nobody else wants it. So we're setting a dangerous precedent here. Why are we doing this? Nobody's benefiting except one person. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind, please. So I'm just going to end with that and just say, let's keep Clark, the neighborhood that we all want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public, please step forward.
Roy Camera, 10 Atkin Drive, Clark. I've been there since 1972. I mean, it's a great
To the
block.
mic, I can't hear you. Speaking to the mic.
It's a great block. I don't know why you have to put two 5-bedroom houses on that piece of property. I don't believe about that. There's never been a drainage problem on that property, on that block. How are we going to be assured that that's not going to happen now? When you're taking trees down, you're going to put 2 houses there, different driveways and all that stuff. I don't believe what these guys say. And, I was told by an official of the town, not to mention any names, that this was already a done deal. This was going to be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I think we all would agree that we have a certain vision of the town. When a plan is conforming and it meets all the requirements, there's only so much anyone can do. I don't know if, since their second time here, there's really anything that doesn't meet the requirements.
Well, maybe Mr. Goodman can address that to confirm that this is a fully conforming application with no variances and that the comments of the engineer have all been met or will be met?
Well, yes, certainly the comments of the engineer, the applicant is agreed to do everything that was provided with the understanding that Mr. O'Connor outlined in terms of the type of trees he does choose to plant. This is a as of right application for a subdivision. There were no variances. There was no need for positive, negative criteria to be outlined for the application. We have answered the questions that were provided us by the board and the issues that the neighbor that was most impacted had raised. And in our second go of it, I think we've tried to present an application that met the concerns that were reflected to us in our prior meeting. I mean, there's no really testimony on it, but this is an experienced builder of quality homes, and it is our belief, excuse me, it is our belief that the 2 homes that will be built here will be a proud addition to the neighborhood.
Before you said, what does as of right mean?
As of right means that there are bulk standards in your land use ordinance for your, in this case, a 2-lot minor subdivision in terms of frontage, side yards, rear yards, front yard setbacks, and obviously zoning in terms of the size of the lot. So all of the criteria that the land use ordinance specifies for an individual house to be built on a lot have been met. And that is what I would call an as-of-right lot.
Thank you.
Any other comments? No?
Before you deliberate, I asked that question because I wanted to hear the answer and to determine whether or not I agreed with it. And Mr. Goodman has stated the law correctly. This is an as-of-right application, no variance is sought, and the applicant has tried to meet all of the comments of the board. And that's what you really have to meet, is really whether or not the applicant has met all of the conditions of your zoning ordinance. and that is the standard you're meeting here.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Cruz. I feel like they've done everything that they can and met our questions and requirements. I understand the sympathy from the residents as a owner of this town lifelong, but they have met them. So based on that, I'm going to make a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the secretary can call the roll.
Mayor Albanese? Yes. Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Councilman Minetti?
Yes.
Mr. Triola?
Yes.
Mr. Steinberg?
Yes.
Mr. Gronkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Gerstner?
Yes.
Mr. Cecil?
Yes.
Application approved.
Thank you. Before we call up. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the middle of a meeting, please. Understood. All right. Calling up our second site plan. This is application Supriya and Sumit LLC 175-181 Westfield Ave, Block 77, lots 2 and 4.
Thank you.
How are you?
My name is Michael Bonner from the Frieri Law Group, B-O-N-N-E-R. Thought I was close enough. I represent the applicant, and by way of introduction, this is an application for preliminary and final site plan approval. It has been the subject of about 2.5 years of back and forth with the township, 4 technical reviews, 3 planning reviews, drafting and adoption of a redevelopment plan. On the topic of being as of right, it's fully compliant other than 2 minor design waivers. It meets the requirements of the redevelopment plan as well as the downtown village district, as the redevelopment plan is considered an overlay zone. Lot number 4 is an existing medical office building. That is not going to change. There are some minor modifications to the building in order to have a facade that works its way across, and the architect will deal with that. Lot number 2 contained 2 dilapidated buildings which have been removed. We had hoped to get the tree removal was done, but the person doing the work injured himself a couple of days ago and wasn't able to finish today. I have a copy of his medical discharge if you want to see it. But we will get that done as soon as possible, and hopefully the board will consider a condition of approval that be done prior to the memorialization of a resolution if this application is approved. Other than that, I have several witnesses tonight. We have the managing member of the applicant who's here to answer questions if there are any, but we won't be putting him on for any direct testimony. That'll be handled by our architect, Miguel Martin, and a professional engineer from Dynamic, bless you, who is a traffic engineer and a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. Between the 2 of them, they'll describe the site plan, and then, bless you, regarding the 2 design waivers, we have Paul Greigel as a professional planner to handle that testimony.
Mr. Chair, before you call the first witness, I did review the legal notice that was published along with the mailings, and I do find that the board has jurisdiction because those notices were properly advertised and provided to the residents. This application slightly differs from the prior application in that, as Mr. Bonner said, this is governed by a specific redevelopment plan for this property. So it's this redevelopment plan sits on the existing zoning, and whatever is not covered by the redevelopment plan is governed by the underlying zoning. But here you're judging this application on the basis of a redevelopment plan that was included in the packages that were sent to you. You have reviewed this. Well, first of all, you recommended to the governing body that this property be declared an area in need of non-condemnation redevelopment, and you did that a few years ago. You've also reviewed the redevelopment plan to make sure it was not inconsistent with the master plan, and that was done before the town council adopted the redevelopment plan. Again, I just wanted to provide that by way of background to give this application some context as opposed to the prior application. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to call, well, I would like to introduce Dr. Prasad so that you can swear him as a witness in the event any questions come up of a factual nature. So he's sworn, but the testimony will be handled, as I said, by the architect and engineer. So, Dr.
Donna, can you switch the screen or take off that, the old plan, so they have access to the new plan and we're not confused, or I'm not confused?
No, they took it, but they didn't shut themselves down. Yeah.
Why don't you load whatever you're going to be using at this point, too? Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sudhanshu Prasad. I, Sudhanshu Prasad.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will tell the truth.
I will tell the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Managing member of Supriya SME LLC, correct?
Yes, I am.
Do you want him to spell his name? Would you like him to spell his name?
S as in Sam, U, D as in David, H as in Harry, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, H as in Harry, U as in umbrella, and last name Prasad, P as in Peter, R Robert, A Apple, S Sam, A Apple, D David.
Thank you. That's it. Thanks for now. I'd like to call my first witness. That's Miguel Martin, our architect.
You just be sworn in before you begin.
And as you go through each of these exhibits, would you identify them and label them A1, A2?
Absolutely.
Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Miguel Martin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will tell the truth,
to tell the truth,
and nothing but the truth,
nothing but the truth,
in this proceeding.
in this proceeding,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you. Spell your name, please.
Sure, it's Miguel Martin, M-I-G-U-E-L, M-A-R-T-I-N. I am a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I have a bachelor's degree from NJIT. I've testified in numerous boards around the state, including this planning board.
I move to accept.
Thank you.
I've asked Mr. Martin to just do a narrative presentation. I think it'll go faster that way.
So I'm going to be actually presenting both the site plan and the architectural drawings. Do you want me to stop at the end of my site plan testimony before beginning the architectural, or do just continue on through?
I would suggest you do the whole thing so you have a complete context of what you're presenting.
Understood. So to begin, the project address is 175-181 Westfield Avenue. It is Block 77, Lots 2 and 4. In summary, the applicant proposes to construct a 3-story addition to the existing 2-story medical office building. The addition will have 13 residential apartments housed in the 2 upper floors, and the ground floor will be parking. The existing medical office use will remain. Referencing the drawings that were prepared and provided by AWZ Engineering, last revised July 25th, 2025, I am referencing sheet C01. So referencing the zoning table on sheet C01, just want to go quickly over the table to show that we are conforming. The principal permitted uses, we are proposing office and multifamily residential dwelling units, which is conforming. The minimum lot area required is 7,500 square feet, whereas the proposed lot is 23,494 square feet. The minimum lot frontage is 75 feet, where we're proposing 235.53 feet, conforming. Minimum front yard.
Just interrupt for a second. Part of the proposal is to consolidate the 2 lots.
No problem. The minimum front yard, the requirement is 10 feet, and that is based off of the redevelopment plan, which is a decrease from the DTV zone. I believe the DTV zone is 15 feet. And that's because the existing medical office building only has a setback of 11.1 feet, and that's to make it conforming. The minimum side yard based on the DTV is 0 is required, whereas the existing building is 4.9 feet. The minimum rear yard for the principal building is required is 20 feet, whereas the existing was 33.8 feet, but the addition brings it closer to the rear yard, and 20 feet is provided, which is also conforming. The existing accessory structure is being removed, so it's no longer applicable. Maximum building height, this is also a revision in the for the redevelopment plan, because the existing DTV is 35 feet, whereas the redevelopment plan increases it to 37 feet. We are proposing 36.96 feet, which is conforming. Maximum building coverage is based on the DTV, which is 80%. We're proposing 44.39%, which is conforming. Maximum impervious coverage is 90% required. 79.38 is proposed, which is conforming. Floor area ratio is a maximum of 3, and we're proposing 0.74, which is conforming. Maximum density is 32 apartments per acre. Converted to the lot area, that turns out to be 17.26 units, and we're proposing 13, which is conforming. Minimum open space and landscaping is a maximum or a minimum of 10%. 22% is proposed, which is also conforming. Moving on to the parking analysis, also found on sheet 01.
That cover sheet that you were just referring to, that's A1, correct?
That is correct.
What? C1. No. For the purposes of this hearing, it's A1 as an exhibit. Thank you.
So going over the parking analysis also found on sheet C01, I need to correct the unit distribution on the parking analysis.
And that'll be A2, correct?
It's still the same sheet.
Same sheet? Okay, thank you.
Sir. So to correct the unit distribution, we have 8 one-bedroom units at 1.25 spaces per unit. That requires 10 parking spaces, not 9 as shown on the table. We have 2 two-bedroom units at 1.5 spaces per unit, results in 3 parking spaces, whereas the table shows 6. We have 3 three-bedroom units at 1.75 spaces per unit, results in 5.25 parking spaces required for that. However, we're going to round up to 6, whereas we're allowed to actually round down per the RSIS. So that brings the total still to the same as 19 spaces required. We are proposing 19 spaces, so we're conforming in there. For the office use, it's 1 space for every 300 square feet. 16 spaces are required. We are proposing 16 spaces, so we're conforming. Since we're proposing EV charging stations, we're permitted a 10% credit that we're not really necessarily need to use, but we have 3 additional spots because of the credits. However, we're physically providing the 35 spaces that are required. Based on state law, we're required to propose 15% of the provided parking as EV charging spots. That results in 6 spaces, and we're proposing 6 spaces as well. So that's conforming. Off-street loading space, the ordinance does not require us to have an offloading space. However, we are proposing an offloading space on the property. Moving on to the sign analysis. In summary, the existing sign is to remain. However, we were brought to the attention that it conflicts with the site triangle leaving the proposed driveway. So we'll have to discuss as to how we're going to address that. However, the idea was that existing sign was to remain and be refurbished so it looks like new. We were not going to make it larger or modify it any other way.
Our plan was to use the existing sign and reface it because there's a dentist sign that we agreed to take down as a result of our discussions and negotiations. But it was brought to our attention tonight by Mr. Troutman that the existing sign interferes with the site triangle. So we would accept it, I guess, as a condition of approval to move that somewhere that, is out of the site triangle, but still provides, the ability for them to put a signage so people can understand where to turn into the driveway and things like that. Okay?
To move what?
The existing sign, which is conforming, happens to be in the site triangle of the driveway. Mr. Troutman brought that to our attention tonight, and we agreed that we would work with the town's engineer and Mr. Troutman to put a comparable sign, the same size, height, etc., but get it out of the site triangle. But obviously, we need signage for the building so people can find Dr. Prasad's medical office and the apartments and everything else. Does that make sense?
Would you be able to show the board members that existing sign on the other plan? It's on the demo plan, it's on the site plan, maybe when you get there?
Yes, sir.
Just to show them where it is.
Point it out. As Mr. Bonner mentioned, there's an existing sign on the side of a freestanding sign on Westfield Avenue for the dentist that was installed without a permit that we're going to remove as part of the application. Additionally, we're not proposing any new signs for the project except for building numbering. There are 2 design waivers that we're requesting. The first design waiver has to deal with the proposed 6-foot-high fence that we're installing along the property line. based on the DTV ordinance, the planting strip is required to be installed on the exterior side of the fence, whereas we're installing it on the interior side of the fence. Our planner is going to provide more testimony regarding that. The other design waiver that we're requesting has to do with the off-street loading space, because we're proposing a 9 feet by 25-foot loading space, and will have a clear height of 12 feet. Does not necessarily conform with the requirements that 12 feet by 25 feet are required with a 14-foot overhead clearance. I'm going to go down a bunch of things. Okay? So right now I've opened up sheet C02 of the provided plans from AWZ Engineering. This is going to be exhibit A2. So this plan shows the demolition of the property and what's being proposed to be removed. On the left side, you have Lot 4, which shows the existing building, office medical building that's going to remain. All existing curbs, the pavement, and the walkway in front of the building are going to be removed. To point out the sign that we're referring to, it's this building sign right here that we're referencing, that we're talking about, that's in the site triangle. As you can see, the existing driveway is already there, and it already impedes on the existing driveway. We're proposing the new driveway to be in the same place, so that's going to be a problem for the site triangle.
Is there room to move the sign outside the site triangle? Is there enough room to move the sign outside the site triangle?
Interestingly, it could be installed where the temporary sign that we propose to remove.
But it would be a nicer looking sign than the temporary sign, correct?
Yes, it will, because it will be new. So let me zoom in out again. So on the right side is Lot 2, where the existing dwelling and garage have been removed. The existing pavement has been removed, and a few trees have been marked also to be removed. Flipping over now to sheet C03, which is going to be exhibit A3. This plan shows the proposed improvements. I'd like to point out that as part of the proposed improvements, we're proposing a new handicap accessible entrance to the existing medical office building. The existing office medical building will be connected to the residential addition with a open breezeway. So the entry to the office building will now be covered instead of open air like it is now. The addition will have 2 ground floor areas. One will be the main entrance for the apartments housing the lobby, which I'm pointing to here. So this is going to be the main entrance to the residential apartments. So there's a ground floor lobby with elevator access. On the other side, we're going to have the sprinkler room with the trash room and a second set of stairs for egress purposes. The upper floors of the addition will cover most of the residential parking lot, and that's delineated by the dashed line along here. So you can see that off the rear, the addition will have the 20-foot setback and basically exposing these parking spots along the rear. On the right side, we're going to have a 5-foot setback where 0 is permitted. And then the front of the the addition will have a front yard setback of 13.43 feet. The residential entrance will also have a handicap ramp to access the the public sidewalk. I want to point out that a flagpole is proposed, and it is adjacent to the top of the ramp, which is that black dot right about there. It's actually depicted in my rendering, so you can see it there as well. I want to point out that along the street, we're proposing new curb sidewalk along the street, including new street trees, street lighting, and benches. A new two-way driveway is proposed into the property where the existing driveway exists. The new parking lot is proposed for the office building. Will go from essentially where the existing parking lot is. Part of it will be covered by the addition. There will be a driveway connector between the office parking lot to the residential parking lot under the building. The covered parking lot will have a minimum clear height of 12 feet to accommodate the township's ambulance and small delivery vehicles. The parking will also be included in the rent and will be assigned to the apartments. The engineer has already gone through and designated which spots will be reserved for the apartments. There are 4 tandem bays against the Westfield Avenue facade of the parking lot. These will be reserved specifically for multi-apartment units. Multi-bedroom units. And then the rest will be assigned to the other apartments. The spots that are labeled for office use will not be assigned. Those would be flexible parking spots that will be used by the office or by the residential apartments. Should they have guests or there be some overflow, they can certainly use those spots. There won't be anything restricting the apartments from using those spots. So as far as the 6 EV charging stations, 4 are being proposed immediately adjacent to the driveway entrance in the uncovered portion of the parking lot. We are proposing 2 under the building, and the primary reason for that is that for ADA compliance, we're required to provide the charging station at the handicap spot. There is the 1 loading space, which is next to the lobby entrance, and it's shown and its dimension as 9 feet by 25 feet. However, I'd like to point out that between the columns, there's actually about 11 feet in between the columns, and besides the columns, if you were to count the striped area, that the width is actually about 15 feet. The office building currently receives about 1 delivery per month by a small delivery vehicle. However, it is anticipated that there will be more residential deliveries. The loading space will provide an off-street location for deliveries since there isn't any parking along this stretch of Westfield Avenue. Our traffic engineer will provide more testimony regarding this. A bike rack is also proposed in the parking lot. However, as it was brought to our attention by Mr. Ricky, a good portion of that is uncovered. However, we'll gladly propose a sheltered bike rack, and that will conform with the setbacks for an accessory structure. However, I would have to slide it back so that it's not underneath the building, but we would still comply with the setback requirements for that. There's an existing, the office building has an existing dumpster located approximately where I'm indicating, showing here on the plan. That existing dumpster will now be located in a trash enclosure.
Same location.
Same location. The The existing dumpster will remain for the building, will remain for the office building only, and it gets emptied once every 2 weeks. A separate medical waste pickup occurs once every 6 months. There is an existing private contractor that performs the trash pickup, and their vehicles will fit under the addition. This contractor will also be picking up the residential waste, and their schedule will be adjusted as needed. The property will also be screened along the side and rear yards by a 6-foot white vinyl fence. That fence will begin here where I'm showing with the mouse at the back corner of the existing office building. Will follow the property line all the way around the property and terminate on the side of the addition by the stairway. So now I've switched over to sheet C04 of the set. This will be exhibit A4. This is the proposed grading plan for the property. The lot will be minimally regraded to accommodate the proposed work. The grading information on this plan provides the minimum 12-foot clearance over the parking lot that the township requires. There is an underground stormwater detention system that is proposed under the parking lot to capture the parking lot runoff. The proposed addition will have internal roof leaders that will extend down the building columns and connect to the detention system. The drawings do not indicate piping for the existing building's roof leaders. However, as a condition of approval, we'll gladly connect the existing roof leaders that are located in the rear of the building and connect them to the proposed detention system and adjust the system's design as needed. Now I'm switching over to sheet C05, the utility plan, which will be exhibit A5. This plan shows the proposed utilities for the project. A new sanitary sewer, gas, and domestic water service will be provided for the new apartments. A new fire connection will be provided to serve both the proposed addition and the existing building. The proposed addition will have a sprinkler system, and the existing office building will be modified to add the sprinkler system. The fire department connection and access to the sprinkler room will be provided along Westfield Avenue. A new electrical service will be provided that will serve the entire project site. The existing electrical service to the office building will be removed. Electrical and gas meters for the addition will be located in the covered parking lot not visible from Westfield Avenue.
Miguel, can you point out where the transformer pad will go?
Yes, sir. So on the same sheet, the transformer pad will be located behind the medical office building. It's this square that I'm showing, that I'm highlighting with the mouse. That's if a pole-mounted transformer does not work and we need to install a ground transformer. Now moving on to sheet C06. This is the lighting and landscape plan and will be marked exhibit A6. Regarding the landscaping is proposed as foundation plantings along the front of the existing building and the proposed addition. So the plants are along the Westfield Avenue face, including around the parking lot along Westfield Avenue and then along this face of the existing building. I also want to point out that we're proposing landscaping in the parking lot area in the uncovered portions of it. So along the rear property line, following the parking lot, and into behind the existing office building. In addition to those plantings, as previously stated, we're proposing 6 street trees that will, in accordance with township standards, and they will be pruned to remove branches lower than 7 feet to not impede on the site triangles. Correct, yeah, so, right, and then we've added benches along the sidewalk too, in fact, in front of the addition. Lighting. Building lights are shown on the plan to illuminate doors and exterior walkways. All building-mounted lights will be shielded to prevent spillage. The parking lot ceiling will also have lights. However, these lights will be put on a timer to dim automatically during overnight hours and will only increase in intensity if they detect motion. The existing building lights will remain and will be reused. 6 street lights will be provided along Westfield Avenue, and these lights will be coordinated with other redevelopment projects on Westfield Avenue. So now I'm going to begin the architectural testimony. I've brought up the architectural drawings prepared by my office, dated December 16, 2024. This will be Exhibit A7. On the ground floor of the existing office building, there is 1 doctor's office encompassing most of the floor area. The main entrance of the building leads to a lobby with access to stairs up to the 2nd floor only. There is no basement in this building. In the residential addition, we are proposing the residential lobby immediately adjacent to the driveway. The lobby will have access to the parking lot. In the back, there will be a door from the vestibule and lobby that will provide direct access from the parking lot to the lobby and also to the front access to the Westfield Avenue. On the other side of the building, we're proposing on the ground floor an additional stair for egress. The trash room will be located there, including the sprinkler room, which shows that the door will be accessible from Westfield Avenue for easy access by the fire department. The addition will be supported by columns located between some parking spaces. The columns are positioned so that there is a 1-foot buffer between the column and the adjacent parking space. If the columns need to be enlarged during design, when they will only grow parallel to the parking space to avoid reducing this buffer. Moving on to the sheet A02, which shows the upper floor plans, and this will be Exhibit A8. The 2nd floor of the existing office building currently has a lab that does blood work and a dentist office. And those uses will remain. The proposed addition, the 2nd floor of the residential addition will have 7 apartments, 5 of which will be 1 bedroom, 1 will be 2 bedrooms, and 1 apartment will be 3 bedrooms. On the 3rd floor of the addition, we are proposing 6 apartments, 3 of which will be 1 bedroom, 1 will be a 2 bedroom, and 2 will be a 3 bedroom. As part of the affordable housing requirements, 15% of the apartments need to be set aside. 15% of 13 apartments is 2 apartments. On the 2nd floor, we are proposing 1 2-bedroom apartment. And on the 3rd floor, we are proposing 1 3-bedroom apartment. These apartments are outlined in red. As a condition of approval, We will continue to work with the housing and affordable housing administrator to determine the income requirement and adjust the unit distribution as needed. We have reached out to Erin Stankiewicz, and she has not provided us the information yet. Each residential floor will have a trash room that is located towards the left of the building. This trash room will have a chute that provides where trash will be disposed and down into the ground floor trash room into carts. We will be using bins for recyclables and will also be collected by the waste contractor. The third floor also has a building amenity that still has to be determined, but it could certainly be it's big enough to be a gym or a business office for the residents, so there's certainly opportunity there for something. Moving on to sheet A03, the exterior elevations. This will be exhibit A9. The exterior elevations show the building exterior will consist of brick, stucco, and aluminum cladding. The aluminum plank cladding will have a wood-like appearance. These are these areas. I also have a rendering that I will show. But to highlight on this plan, the fiber, we're indicating these aluminum plank, fiber cement planks would be these bays in here, and there's a couple more on this side. The majority of the elevation will be scored stucco. And then the stair towers, including the base of the building, will have brick. The parking lot will be partially screened from Westfield Avenue with decorative guardrail, which is shown here. And then there's a decorative paneling underneath that guardrail as well. This plan or this elevation indicates the building height is 36 feet 5.5 inches, whereas it should be 36 feet 11.5 inches. That revision was made in order to, by lowering the average grade elevation when we lowered the driveway to accommodate the 12-foot clearance in the parking lot. And this elevation has not been revised to reflect that. Additionally, this driveway, it still shows the original 10 feet. However, we will be providing 12 feet clearance underneath the building. The exterior of the existing building will also be updated to match the addition. So the elevation has been, the existing building is shown with the new finishes, showing the stucco and the same brick material as well. All exterior faces of the building and the proposed addition will receive quality siding materials. We are not proposing vinyl siding anywhere, so the stucco material will also be shown on the side, will be provided on the side and along the rear elevation of the building as well. HVAC equipment will be roof mounted because the roof will be flat. The building's parapet will conceal the AC units. The AC units are anticipated to be standard residential units, which are about 3 feet square or cubed. And the proposed parapet is over 3 feet tall, so there should be no issue with screening there. What I've brought up is the rendering that we've prepared for this project. This will be now Exhibit A10. This is being presented for the first time. The board professionals have not seen this. This is all new. Here, the rendering shows the proposed stucco, scored stucco on the, as a primary surface on the front elevation and the sides. It shows the brick along the stair towers. including a darker band of brick to basically break up the facade a little bit. The aluminum cladding is going to be a dark color like either dark bronze or a charcoal type of color, not necessarily a pure black. However, it kind of looks on the black side in this rendering. The stucco color that we're proposing is going to be a light gray, and then you can see the aluminum / possibly fiber cement cladding boards plank siding is going to be a wood grain type of finish. We are also proposing standing seam metal roofing over these brow roofs that are over the open breezeway, which shows the covered entrance to the office building. There's going to be a small roof over the proposed residential lobby that will wrap around the building. I believe this roof only projects about 2 feet. The flagpole is shown in the rendering in front of the building. I also brought a material board if the board wishes to see it. However, my preference is always to propose a mock wall during construction for the board to review rather than use the board, because the colors, the light rendition in here messes up the colors of the materials. As far as code compliance, the project will comply with all current building codes and will also comply with the ADA, the Federal Fair Housing Act, and New Jersey barrier-free. The project will have an NFPA 13 full commercial sprinkler system that will require the existing building to be retrofitted and retrofitted with the sprinkler system. The newest version of the NFPA 13 system addresses the EV fire concern by increasing the fire hazard classification of the proposed parking lot. This will increase the water flow and/or increase the number of heads required throughout the covered parking lot. The fire department connection and sprinkler room will be located on the building face along Westfield Avenue. We will place Knox box locations as coordinated with the fire department. Anything else? That's it. Any questions?
Would you like to hear from the traffic engineer first and ask questions of both of them? Because he's going to tie it together a little bit, or would you?
We could do that. I did just have one question. The loading zone that was outside, that was inside the covered area or outside? The loading spot?
I'm sorry?
The loading space?
The loading space is located under the building.
Under the building, so that's still under the 12 feet?
Correct, in the 12 feet. However, the ordinance requires 14 feet of clearance.
And that's big enough for Amazon trucks and everything
Correct.
else?
We
Okay.
confirmed that your standard UPS, FedEx, Amazon delivery, including U-Haul.
Okay.
I have a question. You're going to have an area in the lobby for mail?
That is correct. I should have mentioned that. Let me just go back real quick. So this is sheet A01, which was exhibit A7. So in the residential lobby, we are designating this little area over here for mailboxes within the building.
Thank you.
Want to call up the?
Well, let me just say, the interior finishes for the affordable units.
They will be exactly the same between affordable and market.
Have you addressed all of the engineers' comments?
I believe I've gone through, as far as in my testimony, that I've addressed all the comments.
Are there any comments in the August 22, 2025 engineering review letter that you're not going to comply with?
No, there are no comments that we're not going to conform with.
Thank you. This is probably at the end, but the chair has raised it. You have a component that is a commercial component. There will be a affordable housing developer fee for the commercial portion of it, and you agree to pay that.
Yes, sir.
It was addressed in one of the review letters in our response.
Yes, okay.
Our next witness is Connor Hughes. He can introduce himself and go through his qualifications.
Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Connor Hughes,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will tell the truth,
I will tell the truth
nothing but the truth,
and nothing but the
in
truth
this proceeding,
in this proceeding,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Spell your name again.
Certainly. Again, it's Connor Hughes, Connor, last name Hughes. And I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, licenses in current and good standing. I've done professional testimony in front of a number of other boards throughout the state. This is my first time in Clark, but have been accepted
Move
as
to
an
accept.
witness.
Second.
Just by way of explanation, our engineer, Adnan Khan from AWZ Engineering, had an accident and is unable to testify, which is why Miguel has been in the project since the beginning, and Connor is a licensed engineer, did the traffic review, so between them, they're covering the testimony that Mr. Khan would have done.
All right, so I'll go back to the site plan testimony a little bit and just address some of the stormwater design and some additional detail in our engineer's absence. So we did have a chance to go through those plans a little bit and coordinate that. So let me just get back to that drainage plan.
I believe that's A4.
All right, so we're referencing Exhibit A4 at the moment. Again, this is the drainage or grading. Let me just confirm that. This is actually the utility plan. But essentially, the way the grading works now is there's a high point in the rear of the site towards the south side. There's no existing stormwater retention system. So all of that rainwater essentially sheet flows across the site towards Westfield Avenue, and it also slopes down towards Lot 1 to the east, and ultimately gets collected in the catch basins along Westfield Avenue. What we're proposing to do is install a closed pipe system underneath the parking area so that all that rainwater will be collected into that system and slowly outflowed through the county drainage facilities. And let me just provide a little bit of additional detail on that. So again, it's a closed pipe system, so there's trench drains, or a trench drain proposed along the driveway. There's catch basins being proposed in separate areas of the parking area to help catch that rainwater, and it all will be flowed into the stormwater system to again then be outflowed via an outlet control structure to the county system. And we are, good. And in reference to the NJDEP regulations, as far as being a major development, it is less than a quarter acre of impervious coverage increase. It's less than 1 acre of disturbance. So it is not considered a major development per those DEP guidelines. And as was mentioned at the earlier application, the Township of Clark ordinance then requires us to design the system to the extent practical to meet those guidelines. And this design does meet those ordinance requirements. My understanding is that our site engineer and Mr. O'Connor have had various conversations about the stormwater design specifically, and it has essentially been approved. There was one, not approved, but agreed upon. And there was one outstanding comment from Mr. O'Connor to provide just like a quick summary. of the discharge calculations, just to confirm the compliance with NJDEP. So that was provided, and that drainage is dated, so it's called Discharge Summary. Again, this is prepared by AWZ Engineering. It's dated October 30th, 2025. And essentially what this summary is showing is 3 different charts, or 3 different tables. In order to align with the EPA amended regulations, which design for not only the current runoffs, but also future growth factors up to the year 2300. Again, this would also be in compliance with the township ordinance. So that first table shows the calculations and the reduction in the outflow with no runoff factor accounted for. And then the second table shows that reduction in outflow using current factors. And then the third table shows that reduction in outflow using future factors. And all of these are showing that there is no increase in the runoff or the outflow as a result of the proposed development. So the regulation being that you're not allowed to exceed existing, and that's what's being exemplified with this summary and with this stormwater design. So I think that essentially covers that aspect, but certainly if there's any specific questions, I can answer those.
He's also going to testify to the traffic report, so if you want to ask questions on the engineering, go ahead.
Anyone want to ask any questions at this point or continue?
Well, why don't you open it to the public, because now you're going to a different topic totally.
Okay.
And for the first 2 witnesses, that would be good. And again, questions on the topics that were discussed by the first 2 witnesses.
Okay, so if anyone would like to step forward in regards to Mr. Martin or Mr. Hughes' statements, please state your name and address.
Sure, yeah. Eric Rodriguez, 12 Bartel Place.
Please spell your name.
Eric with a C, and then Rodriguez, Rodrigues. So actually, I had a couple questions related to trees and tree removal. Sorry, tree removal and, like location of trees that were to be removed on the property. So I guess first, if you could identify which ones would be removed on the plan.
So what I have here is I opened up the demolition plan and because I believe you're 12 Bartel.
Right.
So that your property is the one along the bottom here.
Right.
So this first tree should be removed. I believe this tree is possibly on your property.
Right.
And then there's another one in front of your garage that I believe could be on yours. And then there's another one at the corner, but between those two, there is a tree that's supposed to be removed next to, I guess, right, so there should be a tree that's being removed to the side of the framed garage, and then the trees along Westfield Avenue will also be removed.
Got it. So just to clarify, so these trees here on the corner, so right here, this larger tree, this smaller tree right here, this tree over here, these all are to remain, correct?
That's correct, according to this plan.
Got it. And are you aware if those trees are still there now?
I am not. I haven't visited the site since demolition.
Got it. Michael Bonner, might you know whether those trees are still there?
No, but I'm not testifying. I'm just the attorney.
Got it.
Perhaps
Just to
Dr.
clarify, you're
Prasad
saying
knows?
they're no longer there, right?
You're already sworn.
Yes. Some trees have been removed. Some of the smaller trees are going to be removed, and the bigger trees, as council stated at the beginning, the tree removal company who was working on it at the beginning of the week, he got injured and he got hospitalized with stitches and whatnot. And so it did get delayed, and one of the statement the council made was that we will comply with all the requirements because the trees are already marked there, the one for removal.
What Mr. Rodriguez is asking is, do you know whether any of those trees have been removed in that area there?
I have not visited, so I cannot give an exact answer.
Okay. I mean, I'll answer it even though I'm not testifying, and the point is that all of these trees, including ones in this particular area that were marked not for removal, were removed on Monday, which I saw when I came home. And in fact, I went and surveyed it myself with my father and found that the trees that were removed were either completely on my side of the property line or the property line ran through those trees. So, I mean, later on, I would be asking that those trees be replaced with similar trees of similar height, and they were approximately previously 30 to 35 feet tall. So moving beyond that, there was a comment regarding the fence. I believe it was stated that it would be 6 feet tall. Was there any reason why it was decided to be 6 feet tall instead of 8 feet tall?
The zoning ordinance prohibits fences taller than 6 feet.
The other question is, will this be made of like commercial grade, or might it be flimsy to ensure that this vinyl fence is actually going to withstand long use?
It is just going to be a typical vinyl fence.
The other question regarding the planting strip, I believe it was mentioned that it would be about 6 feet was the requirement per the ordinance previously passed, but that you'd only be providing something like 3 feet. Was there any reason that you cannot accommodate the full 6 feet along the perimeter with 12 Bartel?
You're referring to the plantings along?
Yeah.
Well, the issue is that one of the design waivers that we're requesting is because there's a requirement that the plantings should be on the exterior side, so visible from the 12 Bartel side. However, our planner is going to get into it a little bit more detail as to why we're requesting this this design waiver, but you can clearly see that there's going to be some issues with accessing those plantings for maintenance purposes, especially if they're on the other side of the fence and not accessible through your property. So based on the design of the parking lot, the balance of the space that was available was about, let me see if I can find it. It doesn't appear to be dimensioned on this plan, but my estimate is somewhere around 3 to 4 feet in front of between the fence and the back of the parking spot. Those plantings are unlikely to be visible from your property anyways, because they're going to be blocked by the 6-foot fence.
Right, and just to clarify again, you said that you can't accommodate the 6-foot barrier between the property line and where ultimately these car parking spots are. It is because you otherwise can't fit all of these parking spaces?
That is correct. We can't slide the building up further either.
I see. The other question I had is with respect to the trees. So what are the species of these? Are these all arborvitaes? And will there be any, taller trees that will screen the upper portion of the building?
So on the landscaping plan, those trees that are along the fence will have a mature height of 3 to 4 feet, which is a juniper. And then there's a few others 24 inches high. There are a couple evergreen trees, it looks like only 4. Those will grow up to, I guess, 9 to 10 feet.
I see. In light of the trees removed that were previously in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 feet, it does appear that you're not really accommodating that. Is there any sort of change to this proposal that might accommodate the loss screening that has since occurred from when this plan was originally proposed?
Just to clarify one thing real quick on those plantings towards the back. So that 3 to 4 feet is just the planting height. They should grow to a mature height of about 9 to 10 feet.
Okay, I mean, that's still not exactly screening view of the building from the rear, particularly in the corner that would be visible from my bedroom window.
I don't believe there's any requirement under the ordinance that new buildings be screened. This building, the height and size of it, as well as meeting the setbacks, is compliant with the ordinance. There's no requirement that you hide a new building.
That certainly may be the case, but there were trees that weren't to be removed that would have screened the building. So I think that the ordinance is relevant to curing the problem that you and your contractor created. Regarding a couple other questions that I have, so it was noted that the structure would be covered with stucco. Will this actually be fire retardant stucco?
No, it's going to be standard stucco. Fire retardant stucco is not required for this project.
I see. And what about along the area closest to the residence on the corner of Westfield and Bartell?
The building code does not require fire retardant stucco along that face either.
Got it. And then with respect to the driveway, I think it was mentioned that the ordinance required, was it 14-foot clearance for the parking garage, yet you're only able to meet 12 feet? Is that correct?
That is not correct. The requirement is to accommodate the township's ambulance, which requires a clearance of 12 feet, so we're only technically required to accommodate, to provide the 12 feet. However, we're requesting a design waiver for an off-street loading space or unloading space that is, we're not required to provide, but we are providing one. We're requesting a design waiver because the requirement states that it needs to have a clearance of 14 feet. However, as I've testified before, the space will accommodate the smaller delivery vehicles that would accommodate the office building and the residential building, including the moving vans that are needed for the residential apartments.
Certainly. So it won't be able to accommodate a fire truck should a fire truck need to get back there, correct?
The drawings have been reviewed by the fire official, the fire department, and they've provided their comments, and that was not a comment that they have expressed.
Got it. With respect to your EV chargers, I noticed that you had designated 2 next to under the building near the handicapped part. I just wanted to confirm that these EV charging locations will remain in the locations designated and that you will not be changing them later in the plan.
The EV chargers are a hot topic. What we're showing on the plan is what we intend to do. However, we will continue to work with the fire department, and they have requested for us to move as many of them outside of the building as possible. However, due to handicap accessibility requirements, that handicap spot is required to have an EV charger.
Got it. And I just wanted to ensure that, of course, you would consider not placing these EV chargers located near any of the existing structures, be it the garage at 12 Bartell or the corner lot structure, correct?
That is correct. The fire department has been clear that they've asked for us to locate them as close as possible to the driveway entrance in the event that there is a fire, that they can easily pull the vehicle out or address the vehicle that needs to be, put out.
Okay. And then with respect to lighting, it wasn't discussed what particular temperature these lights would be. You did mention that there would be a dimming feature, but will they be using, say, like daylight type temperature, or will they be more on the incandescent spectrum, which would be less polluting to the surrounding properties?
Excuse me, I'm going to... I have to note that the drawing does not indicate what the color rendition of the lights are. However, I'll make note of your comment.
Thank you. With respect to the style of this particular structure, I believe the downtown village requires a colonial or federal or Victorian style. I noted that the structure does not conform to that. I was just curious why that was.
I'm not sure that the ordinance does require it does state a specific style. Well, I believe it states what materials to use, but I don't think it indicates specific style. However,
In section 195, 131A2, it indicates authentic period, colonial, federal, or Victorian. Reproductions are encouraged to complement the established character of more recently constructed buildings. So it's not an absolute requirement. The ordinance is encouraging it.
Right, and also I note that these colors being used, they don't seem to be colonial in nature either. Gray, but that's got it. With respect to you had mentioned trash chutes, and I was just curious, you mentioned it would be inside, but will there be like any deafening? Will there be any attempt to make sure that individuals outside of the structure will not hear trash dropping down into the trash bins?
the trash chutes are located towards the front of the building within a fire-rated enclosure that will certainly reduce any noise. The ground floor where the trash room will be located, it would be is going to be constructed of masonry block that is 8 inches thick, so certainly no sound will be transmitting through there.
They're not open to the outside, correct? They're fully enclosed.
Fully enclosed behind 2 sets of doors.
And you had mentioned that there was a certain cadence with which trash would be picked up, and that with respect to the apartments, that it would not be firmly established, it would be as needed. As part of that, around what time do you anticipate that this trash would be collected?
It's a private contractor. It's going to be subject to an agreement between the applicant and his contractor, someone who's already used in the area, correct, Dr. Prasad?
Yes. The one that is right now, I think they're called Republic Services, pretty common, I think, large trash hauling company. They usually come very early in the morning. We have never seen them during regular business hours. So they come early and they leave early without leaving any footprint.
Got it. So I just wanted to be sure, of course, that when these trash pickups happen, that they're going to be respectful of course, noise ordinances and not showing up, before 8 o'clock in the morning.
If I may address that.
Yes.
Garbage collection is treated as a public utility. and garbage collection companies file tariffs with the Board of Public Utilities, which are approved. As part of the tariff, it has an hours of operation, and legally the hauler can operate within whatever the hours of operation are in the tariff. And the tariff should be a public record on the Board of Public Utilities website.
Thank you.
And the municipality, because it's a tariff and it has the effect of law, the municipality doesn't have control over the hours of collection unless the contractor or the hauler voluntarily agrees to an hour.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. With respect to the timeline of the project and these plantings, when exactly would plantings occur and when would this project supposedly begin?
We, as far as the applicant is concerned, we haven't discussed when to start construction of the project.
It needs to be approved first, then if it gets approved, resolution is adopted, then there's an appeal period, and then the approval is good for 2 years. So sometime within 2 years, but there's no established timeline at this point.
Got it. And once this project would begin, what efforts would there be to ensure that the nearby residences do not see the construction that is going on? Will there be any screening along the perimeter, even on a temporary basis?
Whatever's required by the township ordinance.
Got it. I have a couple other questions. If you look back at the sign, there was a mention regarding the vision triangle for the existing sign on the left side. Why is it that this sign could not be relocated to the building, the office building facade itself?
That is certainly an option. However, if a freestanding sign with its that has two sides to it will promote more business to the establishment.
Signage, size and location is also a function of safety so that people driving on the nearby roads see the sign and enter. If a sign is only on the facade of a building, it's much harder to spot.
The other question with respect to affordable housing units, how did you determine where in the structure those would be dedicated?
So there's a requirement for a minimum distribution of types of apartments. Their location is meant to integrate the apartments with the rest of the apartments so that the affordable units do not stand out from the rest of the apartments.
Got it. Is there anything prohibiting the movement of these affordable housing units from the rear of the structure to the front of the structure facing Westfield Avenue?
No, but there's also, we also have to factor in as far as how the building is built and how these units will stack on top of each other. So as much as it is easy to relocate the apartment to the front of the building, if I don't have room to place that two-bedroom apartment or three-bedroom apartment in the front of the building, unfortunately, I believe the back of the building is bigger to accommodate those units.
Got it. Let me see. Oh, it was noted that there is an existing medical office building. It was unclear, though, if that building would be vacated prior to, the construction of the apartment buildings on the other side. I assume it would be, though. Could you answer that?
That's a good question. So, under the building code, the issue here is going to be a timing issue with the sprinkler system. So I don't want to indicate that the building will be indicated, will be vacated. However, there has to be coordination with the installation of the new sprinkler system and the occupancy. So clearly they won't be able to be occupying the space when that is being installed.
And then I had one other question regarding the underground retention system. It sounded like the existing medical building, well, actually, it's not clear. Where is the water from the existing medical building draining to?
Here, let me just get to the plan real quick and I'll show you. Again, for the record, Connor Hughes of Dynamic Traffic. So I think it was testified earlier by architect, but there will be roof leaders proposed for the medical office building that will tie into the newly proposed retention system. So everything from the medical office building and the residential units will tie into the new system.
And that represents an improvement over existing, because currently, where do the gutters and leaders lead?
Currently, they just not flood out, but lead out into the existing lot and then sheet flow out to the street.
Got it. And with respect to this retention basin, has there been any review on how that may impact any surrounding properties?
There was a comprehensive study prepared that was submitted by our site engineer that details all of the calculations that go into the impacts, not only for the site, but also the surrounding properties.
And it represents a reduction in outflow, correct?
That's correct.
When we say outflow, though, will it impact any water that might go to the surrounding structures?
Any water that's retained on the site will get outflowed and sent to the system that's currently in the Westfield Avenue. So the neighboring residential properties, any water that's currently flowing into those properties will now be retained and then directed towards the existing facilities in Westfield Avenue.
And then I had one other question. I believe at the beginning of the presentation, it was mentioned something that there was a 20-foot setback from 12 Bartel, but I thought I heard something about originally a 30-foot. If you could clarify that?
The existing medical office building had that 30-foot setback. Once the proposed addition reduces the rear yard setback along 12 Bartel to 20 feet.
Which is covered in the redevelopment plan.
So just to clarify, the redevelopment plan changed it from 30 feet to 20 feet clearance? Okay, I believe I can make comments later, right, during the comment section, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We have one further witness, our planner, just to discuss the design waivers. I'm sorry.
Can you bring Mr. Hughes up for just one more second? I just wanted to acknowledge that AWZ forwarded that discharge summary to us. It was reviewed by our office and found to be acceptable. But the one thing that Mr. Khan needs to still do is to prepare tree removal calculations in accordance with Section 338 of the ordinance.
Understood. We'll make sure we relay that.
And he's going to have to either calculate that he's got sufficient number of trees planted on site or account for their, for paying for them into the tree fund.
Absolutely. Thank you for that note, and we'll make sure to coordinate that with him and get that to you.
Final witness is our planner, Paul Greigel.
Before, was there anyone else from the public that, I'm sorry.
Mr. Hughes will briefly cover his traffic testimony.
That's fine. Anyone else from the public have any questions pertaining to the last testimonies?
I just have a question related.
State your name and address, please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Chirag Kumar Parmar, and my address is 167 Westfield Avenue, Clark, New Jersey, 07066. Yeah. Great. Okay. So I just have a question related to the fencing on the side of the property, which is adjacent to my. I believe it's 6 feet, but ends at specifically here, right? Where does it end on the front side? How far does it go? Like
So
this?
it extends up to the face of the building. It's actually shown,
Still here, right?
right here's the little dashed line. It ends right there.
So there is no fencing here in this particular part?
No, because that's considered the front yard, and that's a different fence requirement.
So will there be a fencing or no fencing?
No, it would be open.
Okay. So is it like something stopping us from doing that fencing, or even like a 3 feet or 4 feet fencing? Do you know?
Really, it's I believe it's the fencing is not needed there. That would be considered the front yard. So I believe the fencing requirement is 4 feet high, and I believe there's a transparency requirement as well. So it's not going to provide much privacy, being
It's
more
not-
decorative.
Okay, so it's not about privacy, it's just that I wanted to see. The reason why I'm saying it is when I bought the house, they planted like 4 or 5 different trees there. And I don't know, like who planted on the side, like it was my previous owner or probably from your side, but somebody planted the trees there and it was never bloomed for, like, it never came out basically. So I just wanted to know, like, if something can be done there to basically, property can be, partitioned, a small, like, even the 3 feet fencing. It's not for the privacy, just for the, for the line, that's all.
So I understand the concern that you're presenting. However, that I believe that would be contrary to the DTV zoning requirement, not necessarily a requirement, but the purpose of it is to provide a cohesive downtown district.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a proposal from my side. It's not like something that I'm asking you to do.
We can certainly consider looking at the landscaping plan for you.
The redevelopment plan and the DTV district have certain streetscape requirements. They're trying to create a uniform look along the road, and adding a fence there might not work in that context.
To answer that, actually, if you go down the Westfield Avenue, you will see the houses that are actually adjacent to the road, like probably a public sidewalk is there, and that basically house property starts from there. A lot of houses I see on the Westfield Avenue are kind of made of that way, right? So if that's the requirement, I don't mind it, but it's just that if something can be done to address that would be great.
Remember, you're asking questions.
Yes.
Is there a question there?
That was a question, that what is stopping us to doing that, basically? Can we do that or not?
Mr. Boner, you want to answer that?
I think the architect already answered that. I don't think there's any plan to do that, and it's not being considered at this time.
Another thing I wanted to ask is the fencing on the side of basically between those two property are, as I heard, is 6 feet. So basically that destroys almost the privacy I have in my backyard. Can that be lifted high to at least 8 feet or 10 feet?
No.
Okay. All right, that's all I had for now. Thank you.
Asking Mr. Hughes to come back up, do traffic testimony.
All right. So very briefly, just to go over the traffic aspects of the project, we did prepare and submit a circulation and parking assessment that's dated August 15th, 2024. Essentially what we looked at was 2 aspects, one being the trip generation of the project, the other being the parking supply in comparison to the redevelopment plan requirement. As far as the trip generation is concerned, we utilized Institute of Transportation Engineers, the trip generation manual. Essentially, this establishes a lot of empirical rates based on their own research data for numbers of different land uses. So we selected the land uses that identified most closely with the proposed project. And when we look at the impact of the proposed 13 units, in terms of the peak hour trips, during the weekday morning peak hour, there's only projected to be 5 peak hour trips, and then in the afternoon peak hour, that number is 7. So over the course of that peak hour, again, very low volume generator. There's obviously existing traffic associated with the medical office as well. That will remain. So the only increase in traffic is related to the 13 units that are being constructed. And just to put that into some perspective, New Jersey DOT has a threshold of 100 new peak hour trips that they consider to be a significant increase in traffic. Again, we're projecting a maximum of 7 trips, so we're well below that threshold. And then ITE also has a threshold of 50 trips per peak hour, 50 new trips per peak hour that they would suggest a traffic impact study being conducted. So we're well below that threshold as well. So very minimal impacts in terms of traffic being generated, any existing all the existing roadways, intersections nearby are essentially going to operate the same as they would today. There would be no visible impact from this site. And then just getting into the site circulation and the parking, again, it was mentioned that we do meet the redevelopment plan requirements in terms of the parking supply. There is a shared use aspect between that section adjacent to the office building, whereas when the office is closed, guests of the residents will have the ability to utilize those spaces. And then during the day, when those spaces are typically vacated, office patients and employees are able to use those spaces for themselves. There was the mention of the site distance issue with the signage. Again, we're willing to move that sign out of the sight line, and we'll make sure we coordinate that with Mr. Troutman and your engineers and professionals to make sure that that's done to the satisfaction of the township. And then again, the loading space, we're requesting a waiver for the width as well as the clear height. I think it's been well documented that we don't anticipate any vehicles larger than that to have any need to access that space. The garbage truck can easily access underneath the building to get to the trash enclosure and back out. So we anticipate with the operations associated with the residential and the office that loading space and refuse area will be more than adequate to serve those operations. And that's really all there is from a traffic and parking perspective, but if there's any specific questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Any questions or comments from the board in regards to traffic?
Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
Are you saying there's not designated parking for residents?
There is for residents. There will be for residents. I think 13, including the 4 tandems. For the office space, they won't be designated. They'll be shared. So anyone.
So each apartment will have a designated spot?
Correct.
You know, one has 1, 2 has 2,
At least
or whatever.
1, if not 2, if they have the tandem.
That's fine.
And the tandems will be assigned to the same units.
Right.
You know, you're not going to have people fighting over the tandem spaces.
Any other questions or comments? No? Anyone from the public want to come forward, have a question in regards to the traffic testimony? Nope. Seeing that no one's stepping forward?
Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Paul Greigel,
Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
I will tell the truth,
I will tell the truth
nothing but the truth,
and nothing but the truth
in this proceeding.
in this proceeding.
Help me God.
So help me God.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Yes, good evening. It's Paul Greigel, G-R-Y-G-I-E-L. I'm a licensed professional planner in New Jersey. I have been since 1999. I've never appeared before this board, but I regularly represent applicants before planning and zoning boards throughout the state. I have a master's degree in regional planning from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Bachelor of Arts in Urban Studies from Rutgers University.
I move to accept.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, given the late hour, I can be brief. Your attorney, Mr. Cruz, provided a great overview at the outset of the application. I've been involved over 2 years now, along with the applicant and its professionals. It's a process that led to the development of a redevelopment plan and the site plan that's before this board this evening. It's for a transformative project that, frankly, as a planner, is very consistent with and furthers the master plan vision for this section of Clark and the Westfield Avenue corridor in particular. In terms of the overall project, there's substantial improvements being proposed with regard to lighting, drainage, sidewalks being provided along the street, landscaping, building design, and actually the use itself. The DTV zone started the trend, but also the redevelopment plan furthers it of having additional pedestrian activity, residents and shoppers and additional people and activity in this section of Clark. So the overall project is thoroughly consistent with the redevelopment plan that was prepared by your planner. We are an as-of-right application, as was discussed earlier this evening, as far as the redevelopment plan is concerned, the use, height, setbacks, all other standards. There are 2 regulations that were not met for which we're requesting waivers. They were mentioned before, and I'll just briefly go through them and the proofs for them. The first is for the fence height and screening. And just to be clear, I reviewed the actual section again to make sure I had it correct. These are DTV or downtown zone requirements. There's a requirement to have a 3-foot planted strip as well as a 4-foot fence or wall. So we're actually proposing a 6-foot fence, which is higher than the minimum required for it. And we are providing at least 3 feet. The only issue is literally the side of the fence it's on. So if it was put on the opposite side, we wouldn't be requesting this waiver. The other one is for the off-street loading, and again, we've heard testimony, which I won't rehash, regarding the loading space, which pertains only to the size being a bit smaller or shorter than is required, but as was testified to by other witnesses, that area is adequate. So briefly, with regard to the waiver proofs, under the land use law, we need to demonstrate that it's impracticable to comply or there's some sort of hardship. In this case, with regard to the screening, it's impracticable because of the size and shape of the site. It's somewhat irregularly shaped by combining 2 different lots, one that's not as deep as the other. So you have sort of an odd-shaped property, and we're trying to fit a building within the setbacks that are mandated by the redevelopment plan. So if you were to, again, the question I came up before, can't you push the building forward? No, we have a setback that must be addressed along Westfield Avenue. We have a minimum setback in the back. We need to provide parking that complies. Really, there's a lot going on on this property that needs to fit together, providing adequate parking, providing a building that makes sense in terms of height and setbacks, et cetera. So when you put that all together, we have, again, a compliant buffer width. We have compliant height. It's just a matter of where the landscaping is located. So I think in this case, we're certainly providing the intent of the buffer and screening to the neighboring properties by having a fence that's taller than the 4-foot required and providing the planted area. In addition, the plantings will grow from where they're planted. The height of 3 to 4 feet is only at planting. They will be taller. They won't screen the entire 3-story building, but frankly, that is not the case anywhere along this corridor or anywhere I'm familiar with that you plant landscaping that screens buildings up to their exact height. So again, with regard to that waiver, I think it would be impractical to comply, but we do have the intent met, and we're complying with all their standards for the redevelopment plan. Lastly, with the off-street loading, again, the type of building and the amount of traffic that you get for trucks does not need a full-size loading space. You don't need to accommodate a fire truck or an 18-wheeler or anything larger than an Amazon van, garbage truck, or the other types of vehicles that are mentioned previously. So I don't think there's any need to provide a slightly larger space in terms of width or in terms of height just to meet that requirement when it won't be used. So overall, in terms of a planning perspective, I think, again, this is a transformative project that will really benefit the area. I'm sure, what you see out there today is unfortunately just not great in terms of appearance, but the applicant's been working to remove an eyesore of a dwelling that was there, to upgrade the appearance of the property, and when it's completed, you'll have, again, something consistent with the vision for Westfield Avenue in terms of the streetscaping, in terms of the use, in terms of the building size.
Mr. Ritchie, Mr. O'Connor, do you have any issues with the waivers or questions, comments?
My comment was not so much for this witness, but getting back to the claim that trees were removed from an adjoining property owner's property. Those trees would still be subject to removal and replacement calculations under our ordinance. And the applicant may want to consider coordinating with that homeowner to replace those trees on, or the number of replacement trees on the other homeowner's property if desired and possible. Or the applicant is still going to be responsible for, over the course of the project, for calculating how many of those trees go in. And if they can't get them on their site or another site, then they're going to have to pay for those through our tree fund.
I definitely would agree with that, yes.
That would be acceptable as a condition of the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out, in the context of this project and the scale of this project, the relief that's being sought by the applicant is very minor in nature. I agree with Mr. Greigel's assessment. The size of the buffer is adequate. It's just the location of the plantings. And it appears that there's some opportunity to maybe due to some of the trees being removed, to work with the adjoining property owner, as Mr. O'Connor said. My understanding of the tree replacement ordinance is such that if there isn't room on the subject property because of buildings and parking and the like, there is some flexibility in where those trees could be planted. So that could be something that could be potentially a condition that a good faith effort be taken with the adjoining property owner to try to reconcile those issues as a potential condition of approval. And then I guess regarding the loading space size, I mean, I'll defer to Mr. O'Connor in that regard as well, but one of the major issues associated with buildings such as this is where does the Amazon van park and the like, because that's what most of the type of truck trips that are occurring in a building like that. So from my perspective, the fact that there is a space for that type of a vehicle to stage and park, I think it's very positive.
In regards to the tree comments, I mean, you'll be working with the neighboring?
With the adjoining
Perfect.
property owner.
I thought in the testimony that it said that there would be a flagpole.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so has that been?
It's on the render. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's on the rendering, actually. It's a little hard to see.
There's no wind blowing, so it's hard to see the flag.
It lines up with the...
Okay, yes, I see it. Okay, fine. No, only because Mr. Ricky's report said it does not appear that a flagpole was added.
It was not on the original plans, but in the discussions, we got the applicant to acquiesce, and it was added to the rendering so that it could be explained tonight.
Good. Have you addressed all of Mr. Ricky's comment from his updated report of September 13th, 2025?
I believe
I'm sorry,
we have. I'll defer to him.
The only exception was that, the only remaining comment was that the landscaping, I thought, was a little bit of a afterthought by the site engineer, and we were trying to encourage, a landscape plan that was a little bit, how could I say it? Something that's traditionally prepared by a landscape architect that does introduce seasonal color and the like, and it's not just a couple random plantings spaced sporadically. So I would defer to the board how they feel about that, but that was the only remaining comment.
Definitely prefer that. There have been some buildings that have gone up with inadequate landscaping, and you can tell. So, for everybody. Thank you.
Applicant will agree to
Very good.
bring in a landscape architect and beef up the landscaping.
And how would you propose to do that, as a continuation of this hearing or through consultation with the board engineer and planner?
I would prefer that it be, in consultation with the township engineer.
And when would that be done by?
Next Wednesday? No, just kidding.
No, I'm just asking, is it going to be done before the resolution is considered, or if it's approved, or what would the timing of that be?
We'd be happy to work with him as soon as we can. I mean, obviously, we're going to have 30 days or so before the resolution is memorialized, so, and then work through the appeal period before building permits are issued, so I think there's ample time to work that out with Mr. O'Connor.
Board so chose, that could be handled as a condition of approval and undertaken in compliance review for once the applicant revises his plans to come in for any and all of the other things that we've asked him to take care of.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board for Mr. Greigel? No? All right, I would ask anyone from the public, any questions in regards to Mr. Greigel's statements? Please step up. No one? Okay.
Thank you. We have no further witnesses. I'll dispense with a summary of the testimony. I think we covered all the issues that the township's professionals were concerned about. And I would, request an affirmative vote by the board, and thank you for your time tonight.
At this time, anyone from the public that has any comments about any of the testimonies you heard, please step forward, state your name and address.
Hi, Eric Rodriguez, 12 Bartel.
Mr. Rodriguez, I get the sense that you're going to go beyond public comment and really testify. So if it would be my preference, if you're going to testify, that I swear you in so that the record is clear as to what is comment and what is not comment. Is that acceptable to you?
Sure.
Good. All right. Please raise your right hand.
Sure.
I state your name.
I, Eric Rodriguez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will tell the truth
to tell the truth
and nothing but the truth
and nothing but the truth
in this proceeding.
in this proceeding.
Thank you.
Sure. One of my comments relates to the trees that were cut down. I noticed in the particular renderings that some of these trees were indicated as having a diameter of 10 inches, which is actually inaccurate. Some of those were, I think I saw something like over 24 inches at the stump it was actually roughly around this height from where it was cut. Perhaps the Tree Shade Commission might want to double check that those sizes are accurate with respect to the trees that were cut, both on my property and on the property line. The second part is that the trees that were cut, that they should obviously have their stumps removed and grinded now that they're obviously no longer of any value that they've been cut down. The other part is that while Mr. Bonner and Miguel and others have mentioned that there is no shade tree requirement, in terms of screening, I beg to differ in this case, considering that those trees were there. They were marked on the plan not to be removed, and clearly they provided a value to me in screening the structure, and the intent was for them to remain. So as such, I request that trees that are approximately 20 feet or so tall be placed there to accommodate what was removed. And I also want to note that one of the larger trees happened to be near the intersection of my property and the other adjoining neighbor, and that if you look at the particular site plan, you'll notice that there was a larger area to accommodate the tree that was already there. So technically they have space to plant a larger tree in that area and other areas adjacent to it. The other part is that that they should do something before they even begin construction to sort of shield that area, be it with arborvitaes or something within the area between my garage and the other individual's garage. I already have some arborvitaes there. Adding a couple from my garage to the others to connect them would at least shield the majority of the view, at least ground level, when looking in that direction. The other part is this fence. I'm not exactly sure if I necessarily agree that the fence should be on my side as opposed to closer to the vehicles, and that the planting shouldn't be facing my side as opposed to the white fence. So I'm not sure that I buy that argument that it might be better that way. The other thing is that in addition to these arborvitaes or whatever they have along the property line, it does appear that they have enough space to plant trees that would go beyond the 6 to 8 feet that they mentioned. Also, arborvitaes are particularly slow growing. They are less than a foot. Things like green giants grow much faster at about 2 to 3 feet and screen these structures much faster. So my first contention is, one, they replace what they took. Two, that the town's tree shade commission visit the property before they might destroy any more evidence, and note the size of the trees that are actually there and how they do not actually align to the measurements that were put on the site map. And that, of course, you guys, should you approve it, require that they plant these trees along the property line, so that beyond just whatever they might have that might be at or near this fence height will grow beyond that height, and provide a better cover for the residential neighborhood that is behind the structure as well, which, if you visited a lot of commercial structures, even those around what is currently Clark Commons, USG, they used to have tons of large trees blocking a lot of the view, particularly along Walnut. So it is not unheard of to require some degree of screening of commercial and large apartment projects from residential neighborhoods and adjoining properties. Beyond that, with respect to soft lighting, the plan didn't mention anything with respect to temperature, and so I'm just asking that we ensure that they are not excessively bright and that there's an actual value that's given, so that we don't have, Times Square in our backyard. The other is that it's unclear during construction what effort they will do to make sure that, the site is not visible. If they cannot actually put the fence in, the vinyl fence, before they begin construction, they should certainly put some sort of barrier that is at least 6 feet tall, so that we won't see what they're doing while they spend 2 or however many years to decide what they're eventually going to do with the property. The other point I wanted to note is that there was a comment around how this project improves the appearance of the property. And having lived in this neighborhood for over 35 years, I just want to point out, I know what the property looked like before the current individual bought the property. And I can certainly say it went downhill after they purchased it as opposed to before. So, the appearance certainly looked better in the past. It certainly, I don't know if I'd say it looks better now that they demolished it, but, some of the relief that the applicant sought in demolishing and proposing this particular plan was also self-inflicted, and I think that should be somewhat acknowledged. But hopefully, this new plan will certainly, remedy that. What else? Yeah, the other question related to the size of the fence. So there was a mention that the ordinance requires 6 feet. But I believe technically it's at your discretion to change that to 8 feet. So that was the other request. With respect to EVs, and particularly EV charging, the request on my end is that these EVs be restricted from occupying, these charging stations anywhere near the adjacent property structure. So not near my garage and not near my neighbor's home. That there's plenty of other parking spots that can certainly accommodate charging needs. And yeah, I mean, also as part of your potential approval of the property, that that the immediate replacement of these trees that have been removed is accommodated for, along with appropriate screening. Since they chose to cut these trees on a Monday, less than 3 days prior to this particular hearing. And also I should note that this was the first time I had even been noticed. I wasn't aware of what was going on until I think last week. The other is whether or not you guys might want to reconsider the coloring of the structure and the style. And then, of course, that these stumps be removed. And of course, that while I may not love the landscaping that currently exists along the medical building, what is currently there is certainly a better screen than absolutely nothing. And considering that that area won't really need to be disturbed until they complete their construction, if they're not going to immediately install a fence and appropriate landscaping, which is what I would prefer that they do now rather than wait, it's certainly preferable that they don't continue to disturb the existing landscaping, that at least provides some barrier between the end of my property and their parking lot. What else? Oh, and then the other comment was just around that you guys may want to reconsider the positioning of the flagpole and one of the trees on the right around that bend. It is potentially an issue for visibility of people that are rounding that corner. It might make sense for them to shift the trees a little further towards CVS on the one side and maybe move the flagpole a little more to the other side. What else? So we talked about the fence, planting strip. Yes, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Seeing that nobody is stepping forward?
Mr. Chair, before you begin to consider the potential grant of this application, I would like to list the conditions that have been discussed. And for the very first condition that Mr. Bonner offered, I would ask Dr. Prasad to please step forward. What your attorney explained is that before this board adopts a resolution, which normally is done at the subsequent meeting here in the December meeting, that the existing debris, trees, stumps be cleared. That lot be cleared because it is uncertain when you will start construction. Do you understand that condition?
Yes, sir, I do.
And do you understand that the resolution will not be adopted until that's done and the construction code official verifies that?
I do understand.
And that you are waiving the board having to adopt a resolution within the statutory period?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those are all conditions that are acceptable, Mr. Bonner?
Yes, they are.
The others, and obviously there are conditions in the reports, the engineering report and the planner's report that I'm not going to address, but I would like to highlight some that were specifically discussed and agreed upon. This is a development that has a commercial component to it, and so the affordable housing development fee applicable to the commercial portion would be applicable. The plan still, the floor plan still needs to be amended to show the income distribution of the affordable units. You can sit now. I just wanted to, with that first one, because that's a little bit tricky, and I wanted to make sure that you were committing to doing that before the board adopts the resolution. The income allocation still has to be listed on the plans, and that there will be a condition of approval. The existing sign will be moved out of the site triangle in conjunction with the township engineer. The bicycle rack will be sheltered, but will meet the setback. The rear of the building roof leaders will be connected to the detention system. Again, a lot of these things are already covered, but they were highlighted during the testimony. The planner did request a sample of the building materials and the architect indicated that a mock wall exterior would be presented to the professionals for review, and that can be done, as was mentioned before compliance review is completed and a building permit issued. Also, that the plan will be amended to show the wattage